What are you willing to do after losing a loved one? Anything? Even bring him back from the dead? Sure, but at what cost? Welcome back, horror fans. I'm Leo, and Bootube Breakdowns is here to save your scary movie night. Right off the bat, Pet Sematary scores a 2.6 out of 10, landing it solidly in our Trash O Lantern category. But you're in luck. I've heeded the warning of a ghost whose brains spilled out of his head after a car crash to get you this score, and in a few minutes I'll show you exactly why Pet Sematary earned this rating. If you disagree with my score at the end of the video, be sure to let me know how much you want to resurrect your dead daughter in order to start your own army of the dead, and be sure to let me know all about it in the comment section. So here's the basic breakdown. A family moves to the woods to escape the chaos of city life and immediately finds a cursed burial ground in their backyard. While attempting to remake the original story, it quickly devolves into a series of "and then" statements. The cat dies, and then they buried in the creepy woods, and then it comes back wrong, and then the daughter dies, and then she is buried in the backyard, and then she comes back wrong. You get the idea. The movie swaps out Gage for Ellie because of subversion, I guess, and then forgets to make that choice matter in any meaningful way. The dad spirals, the mom gets murdered, Judd gets killed before any real connection is made with him by Ellie wearing his wife's face. Oh, by the way, he had a wife. You're supposed to act like you knew about this and care at this point. And eventually the whole family gets zombified because, screw it, why not? And that's basically it. That's Pet Sematary's remake. So Pet Sematary is less of a remake and more of a corporate seance, summoning the corpse of a better story, stripping it of its soul, and propping it up Weekend at Bernie's style for a new generation. On paper, a darker ending and tighter timeline should improve the pacing. In reality, it's just narrative fast food. Cheap, overprocessed, and somehow still undercooked. Swapping Gage for Ellie could have added a fresh layer of grief and agency, but instead it's just empty shock value with a wig. Lewis, once a tragic figure caught in a philosophical tug of war with mortality, is now a blank NPC with a medical license. Pasco shows up covered in blood to scream ominous nonsense, and then disappears like the script forgot he existed. The Wendigo, King's looming mythical horror, is reduced to a foggy blink and miss it cameo, like Bigfoot wandering in the wrong set. And the Micmac burial ground, arguably the story's spine, is gutted of all its lore and reduced to a glorified haunted mulch pile. This isn't an adaptation, it's brand necrophilia. Final score, 3 out of 10. Let's pause for a quick reminder. ChatGPT launched in 2022. Why bring this up? Because the movie plays like someone fed the 1983 novel into a prototype AI, told it to swap Gage for Ellie, and then said, make it make sense. The only problem? This dumpster fire came out in 2019, so no lazy algorithm to blame, just human incompetence. The pacing is a disaster, stitched together like a bad improv session, and the punchline of the joke is the phrase, "and then." Seriously. I already explained all this. Scenes don't build tension so much as they trip over each other. Alternating between painfully slow and blazing fast exposition just doesn't allow for this movie to work. It's nostalgia bait with no line, no hook, and definitely no payoff. The 80s references aren't clever, they're desperate. Final pacing score, 3 out of 10. Now this movie has a special talent for instilling one specific kind of dread. The kind where you realize 2 hours of your life are circling the drain. Scary? Not even a little. And that failure rests entirely on the shoulders of the directors, who clearly misunderstood loud noises for horror. It's all cheap scares and half-lit ghosts barely whispering from the shadows, like the Dollar Tree version of a haunted house. The grotesque elements are laughable, slapped on with bargain bin makeup, and shot so poorly you'd think they were trying to hide the effects. probably because they were. A 15-pound soaking wet 10-year-old isn't getting gently nudged into a ditch with 0 damage. She's getting liquefied on impact. As for the Wendigo, don't blink or you'll miss the blurry Bigfoot cosplay, growling in the fog. This movie had creepy potential, but it squandered it on volume instead of atmosphere. After reducing 6 full points for the avalanche of cheap scares, this one earns a proud and deserved 0 out of 10. So let's start with this one movie's saving grace, John Lithgow. The man can read a phone book and still make it compelling. And despite the script neutering Judd Crandall into the shadow of his original self, Lithgow delivers like the pro he is. Jason Clarke, on the other hand, phones it in so hard you can practically hear him checking his watch between takes. Half the time, he looks bored. The other half, he looks like he's sprinting towards his trailer to cash the check and never speak of this again. Jet Lawrence as Ellie actually turns in a solid creepy kid performance. Her undead stare is unsettling in all the right ways, but even good acting can't stitch together this Frankenstein script of half-baked scenes and disjointed tone. The movie flirts with compelling moments, but never commits to any of them. It's like it's too afraid to get its hands dirty. Instead, it just sorts of meanders, hoping the nostalgia will carry the weight the writing can't. I never fully checked out, but I also never fully cared. Fun factor lands at a polite but unimpressed 4 out of 10. The ending, however, just barely limps across the finish line. Ellie goes full cycle, kills her mom, buries her, and just when Lewis finally grows a spine and tries to stop the madness, bam, Rachel stabs him in the back, buries him too. Now the whole family's undead, holding hands like some twisted Hallmark card, and it's heavily implied that poor little Gage gets offed off screen. Because, sure, why show the emotional climax when you can just cue ominous music and cut to black? It's clearly trying to one-up the original ending with something edgier, but here's a thought. Maybe don't butcher the rest of the narrative on the way there. A darker ending only works if it feels earned, and this one feels more like lazy rewrites slapped on in post. At best, it's a forgettable finale to an already broken retelling. Ending gets a generous 3 out of 10 because at least it had the decency to end. So that's Bootube Breakdowns' take on Pet Sematary. Averaging our score places this movie at a 2.6 out of 10, placing it in our Trash O-Lantern category. Do you agree with my rating? Scream your score in the comments and tell me what horror flick I should get next. If this saved your spooky vibes, smash the like, ring that notification bell, share with your horror crew, and subscribe to Bootube Breakdowns for more killer verdicts. Keep it creepy, and I'll haunt you in the next review.